Hello, everybody. This is Jacob Sapochnik with the Enchanting Lawyer Podcast. This is a show where we interview the most inspiring entrepreneurs, business people, and just cool people who do amazing things all over the world that inspire us to do our job better. And today we are going to be talking all about social care, online reviews, the importance of being have empathy and understanding what's happening online with your business. And I'm very honored to have Kari Embree here. Kari is the social media community manager for Green Flash Brewing Company right here in San Diego. And I'm very excited because, first of all, I like and enjoy beer. And second of all, because we're talking about social reviews and all these things related with this. Kari, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Jacob. It's great to be here.
I'm very happy to have you here. And just a bit of a background. I met Kari. We are actually sitting together on a panel in social media marketing world just a few months ago, and this was a panel about online reviews, social care, just what other businesses are doing when they are trying to get reviews, trying to deal with bad reviews, the whole concept of online reviews. And it was actually a great panel, and I really enjoyed meeting you on that day. So again, welcome to the show. Kari, I gave you a little bit of a background, but what is exactly that you do in Green Flash in your division, and why is it important to have somebody like you in a company like that?
Oh, thanks for asking. So I am the social media community manager at Green Flash Brewing Company. I work in the marketing department, and I basically am responsible for all of the social media everything. So I'm responsible for writing the posts, for monitoring, to responding to customers, to really being that person that people can talk to on social when it comes to our beers. So it's a really busy role. It's really exciting. It's amazing to be able to talk to people all over the world about our beers, and a big part of it is definitely the customer interaction. So that's what I do for Green Flash, is I watch for mentions and how we can be of assistance.
So, we all see right now what's happening with Yelp and Google Places and all these other major websites where people go and complain, or before they go into a business, they look at the reviews and make a decision. And just for you, as somebody from the back, from inside the industry, first of all, what do you think it's so important to monitor and have a system to monitor and reply to reviews of any business?
Well, it's absolutely critical, because the whole purpose of people putting out reviews and taking the time to either give you positive or negative feedback, that's a huge step for a consumer or a customer to take. So most people will try your product, try your food, your beer, your service, and never say anything positive or negative about it. So for a customer to take that huge step and actually provide feedback either way, it's up to you as your business to absolutely look for those people that have taken that effort and to make sure that they're heard, because they are trying to help you, make your business or your product better in one way or another. And so it's a huge responsibility for a business to be interactive with that.
And I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think it's companies and brands are definitely paying more attention to that. But I think one of the things we talked about in the panel is also smaller businesses are looking at bigger brands and saying, well, we have to do the same, because if not, customers are not going to come to our business. Customers are not going to be willing to try because there are bad reviews, or because they feel that our business, we don't care. And I think, one of the things you mentioned at the panel, and also I heard you say in other podcasts, is the whole notion of empathy. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think empathy is so important in building a strong community and in any business?
Well, I think the whole point of being empathetic is just a good human value to have. I think that when we're marketers, we're so used to pushing out content, and we're used to just talking at customers and at consumers. And we forget sometimes that, we also have been in the position where we have been the customer, we've been the consumer. We've had a wonderful experience at a restaurant, or we've had a terrible a product just broke on us a week after we bought it. So I think, being able to step back sometimes from a marketing role and put yourself in the role of the customer and really understand that they have something they're trying to tell you, and that's why you should pay attention and you should listen and you should try to understand from the customer's point of view what they're trying to get across to you, because that feedback is very, very valuable. And for a small business in particular, where your resources are very limited and those kinds of reviews, positive and negative, can make or break your business, it's absolutely, you have to put yourself in the customer's shoes and be there for them the way that they expect you to be for them.
So as opposed to saying to think, well, maybe they're just a bad apple or somebody that is not normal. Every kind of complaint, every issue that we read, we have to take it seriously and look at it from their point of view, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to assume that it's a valid complaint until proven otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
there are people that complain to try to get free things. I've worked in e-commerce where we had products that we sold, and people do, and you have to accept that as part of a liability that you're willing to write off in some cases. But for the most part, the people that are trying to take advantage of the system are really, I think that people are much more good at their heart than bad. And those kinds of situations are relatively few and far between. But every comment and customer complaint and positive review, is an opportunity to genuinely connect with your customer one-on-one.
Exactly. And then you can learn more, improve your service and whatever you do at your business.
Of
That's
course.
a great source.
And if people feel they're connected to your business as an individual, they're much more likely to support you or at least be nice about trying to get their issues resolved too. So it's a win-win all around.
Perfect. Now, where do you spend most of your time on these networks? Is it mostly on Yelp or Google, and I know that you have a niche social networks that's specific to your industry. So why don't you kind of walk us through what are the things that you do as a community manager trying to handle? Because you mentioned it at the conference, and I want you to say it again right here in the podcast. How many reviews do you process or monitor on a daily basis between Yelp and all these other niche social networks?
So we have a niche platform for beer reviews. It's called Untapped.
Okay.
And we get approximately 36,000 reviews, check-ins on there per month. So it's
Wow.
over 1,200 a day.
Wow.
So it's physically impossible for me to see every one of those, but it's a really amazing place for us to be able to see what people are saying about our beer and what kinds of feedback, and people can share photos and stuff. So it's a really active review platform for us. It's a little different with beer because beer can be consumed. People can buy it at a liquor store. They could be having a pint on tap. So it's for us. The Untapped is sort of covers the whole beer product spectrum. Yelp would be more specifically for people's experiences in our actual tasting room.
So when you monitor Untapped, is there some kind of a filter there that allows you to see if somebody complains, says, that beer was bad, or how does it differ than Yelp, for example?
So with Untapped, there's no way specifically to filter right now. It's just a big feed of people that are checking into their beer and giving it a rating from 1 to 5 in half increments. So it's just a big giant feed, and I just kind of keep it scrolling all day and watch for people's comments on those check-ins and respond to the ones that are extremely good and ones that are maybe there was a problem with.
And sometimes when you respond, I think you mentioned once that you have maybe different creative ways to surprise customers. Do you? What are some of the things that you do that you can share with us that people found interesting? Maybe you saw somebody check in somewhere and you want to reach out to them before. Are those things you can possibly do on Untapped?
Yeah, actually, because sometimes we'll have people with Untapped. You can earn different badges for checking into your beer. So you might earn a birthday badge for drinking a beer on your birthday, or you'll earn a badge for checking in at a golf course, or there's different things. There's a gamification aspect to it. And so it's kind of fun to see because it'll show you, which person has earned which badge when they checked into your beer. So
Right.
if I see they earned the birthday badge, I can give them a shout out and I can be like, hey, Jacob, happy birthday. Thanks for having a beer with us today. Or if somebody's checking in at an airport, we can say, safe travels.
Wow.
It's kind of fun to see where people are and that you're actually experiencing and enjoying your product at a particular place. So you really have a sense of what's happening in their life when they're actually enjoying your product.
So how do you feel those real-time interactions are affecting these people's loyalty towards your brand as opposed to other brands?
Oh, it's amazing. We've had people respond where they were like, "Oh my God,
Wow.
I've never had a brewery notice me before." And people are very appreciative for the most part. They're like, "Wow, thanks for the birthday greetings," or it gives people an opportunity like, "Oh my God, I love your beer. I've drank this one today for the first time, but I usually drink this other beer of yours." And people share some great photos. It gives me an opportunity to ask if we could use that and share their photo on our Instagram feed. So it gives us an opportunity to kind of connect on a different platform. And I think for the most part, people are genuinely really pleased and surprised to have a brand respond to them because it's relatively rare these days.
Absolutely, absolutely, because they don't know who's standing behind all these big names.
Right, exactly.
Now, as far as comments, you get all these comments, whether it's on Untapped or on Yelp, and I'm just curious to see what you think. How are they different between the different channels? Like what people are saying on Yelp, or what they're saying on Untapped, or any other place your company is visible. If you want to share with us.
Yeah, well, I think Yelp, like I said, specifically would address our tasting room. So when people leave comments on Yelp about us, it's very directly related to our tasting room and the experience that they had there. So they would say, "I had great service," or we had somebody leave a negative review. They said, "Oh, the bouncer at the door wouldn't let me in because we're very strict on IDs. So if you don't have your ID, we cannot let you in." So somebody might say, I didn't like it because they wouldn't let me in without my ID. So these are all genuine things to see if there's something we can improve in our tasting room, or if we can provide, get those customer compliments back to the beer tenders. I love to be able to say, "Hey, so-and-so had a great tour guide," and I shared that feedback with our staff because everybody likes to get the kudos. But on Untapped, where people are checking into the beer, they're really using it as almost like a beer diary, and it's a way to say, "Oh yeah, I was drinking this here." So the comments are a lot more unscripted or unexpected. With Yelp, people are leaving specific comments, because they expect the brand to hear it.
Of course.
But on Untapped, I think it's a little bit more spontaneous. So somebody might say, "Love the espresso in this. This is great. This is my first time having this style of beer," or "This was quite tangerine-y." These are all things I'm actually just looking at right now, what people have written.
Right.
And I think, getting my Zwickel on, because there's a Zwickel lager. And I think for Untapped, I really enjoy Untapped comments because people don't expect them to be seen. And so it's sort of this very honest and refreshing place for people to be just very honest about what they're having. And it could be positive and negative, and we watch for it. And it's fun to see how to connect with people on it.
It's kind of like almost an instant reaction. Oh, I just tried this coffee flavored beer. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see it real time. So I can see that somebody's drinking this particular beer, at this particular location.
Now, what do you think is the incentive of people on Untapped to do this, to comment like that, to react like that, as opposed to, for example, somebody on Yelp who wants to post a positive or a negative review? It's something that they want to share because they're very, very happy, or because they're very, very upset.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Untapped is, because it's such a huge tool in the beer community. It's actually the biggest online beer review app.
Okay.
It's crazy big. It's been around for several years, and it has a huge community. And I think that people really do use it, like I said, like a beer diary, because you could put a wish list in there for beers that you'd like to find, and having a way to document the beers that you've tried and that you've enjoyed, and it's a way for people to leave comments for their, it's like a beer journal. You know, people are using it as a way to, you know, this one was light and refreshing, or this one was a little too coffee for my flavor, for my taste. And I use Untapped myself, and I use it that way quite a bit as a way to document and keep track of beers that I've enjoyed in the past, beers I'd like to try, and beers I'd like to drink again. So it's just a little bit more, the comment approach is much different. It's like I said, it's less about specific complaints or specific compliments aimed at the brewery. It's more people expressing themselves individually.
It's more kind of the experience of them trying the beers and seeing what they like. And for you guys as the brand, you can learn a bit more about what people are feeling and their experience with the different products to help you maybe improve it or do it a bit differently.
Exactly. Yeah, it really does kind of gives us a refreshing way to see what people are saying without the expectation that they're being watched or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an impulse.
Like with Yelp, the comments that people leave on Yelp are very specifically intended to get the attention of the brand. I think that people very intentionally are writing their comments, and they're really planning out what they're saying, and they're expecting a response. And as opposed to Untapped, where the comments that people are leaving on their beer check-ins are less intentional to be aimed at the brand. They're really using it as a way to document their beer experience and to leave notes for themselves in kind of a journaling experiential way. And I think because the comments on Untapped are written not with the intention of being seen, that they're a lot more genuine and a lot more honest. And quite honestly, it can be a lot more fun to read because you kind of get a little glimpse into what people are experiencing when they're enjoying your beers that time.
Exactly. So but for you looking at it as the brand, you have all the different feedback that you need to continue giving good customer service.
Absolutely. It's important for us, even in Untapped, if somebody says the draft line tastes dirty, you know, something doesn't taste right with this beer, you know, that gives us an opportunity to have our salesperson connect with the restaurant and say, hey, maybe we need to address the beer is old or flat, or maybe it needs to be cleaned, the draft lines. And it's all an opportunity to improve.
Absolutely. And that's what it's about. You know, customer service, customer care is really where marketing should be and where marketing is heading right now.
I absolutely agree.
But I wanted to ask you, Kari, something about negative reviews. When things go bad, how do you guys deal with it? What is the policy? And I don't know if you go through a process where, let's say let's start with Yelp for example. Somebody said, you know, they had the worst experience at the brewery and the tasting room, and either the person who served them was rude or the actual product was bad. So how do you handle that? Is there a policy? You know, who's involved and how do you resolve it?
Yeah, we want to pay attention and respond to those people on Yelp. We try to take it, acknowledge them publicly, and then take the conversation private so that we can really get all of the details without necessarily exposing somebody else's personal information. We try to be respectful of our customers, and we need to find out what the details are so that we can escalate to the right department, because sometimes it could go to the tasting room manager if it's a staffing issue, or it could go to operations and the warehouse team if right. Maybe, you know, somebody had a bad, like a 6-pack carrier wasn't glued properly or bottle caps were loose. So we need to find out what happened specifically so that we can get it to the right team.
But typically you would necessarily always respond to every review that is negative.
That's the goal, absolutely.
Yeah. So with the amount of reviews that you get, thousands of comments, do you feel sometimes that things kind of get lost a little bit in the noise? And if so, what do you think is something that you would see in the space change? Because I know that people complain and say that it's just overwhelming right now. People can say anything about you anywhere, and you may not even know.
Yeah, it's a huge thing to be aware of, and yeah. Obviously it takes resources, and I think that, you know, right now I'm a team of one on the social team, so it's physically impossible for me to see every comment, positive or negative. I mean, I watch for as much as I can, but I've also worked in companies in the past where we had entire teams devoted to social care, where we would have 5 or 6, 7 people
Sure.
that were on in 24-hour shifts. I mean, but it was for a much larger company. But that would be the absolute goal, is to have 24-hour coverage and have somebody available to respond. Because if a customer is having an issue now and you can't see it until tomorrow, or if somebody has a great compliment that happened on a Saturday and you don't get to thank them until Monday,
Right.
you really do miss an opportunity. And the reality is there's a lot more people online than there are, working in the business. So the goal is always to try to be there as much as you can for your customers. And I hope that companies and businesses have the opportunity to really realize the value of customer care and to make that a priority in the future as they grow their teams.
Now, what do you think? Just again, this is your personal opinion. What do you think this industry, the social care state of mind and approach is heading in the future? Looking at it as a marketer in a large corporation, but also you worked in even bigger companies before in the space.
Yeah, I really do think that it should become a piece of every company's hiring process. I mean, that should have eventually, as you have a marketing team, as you have a PR team, as you have, human resources, then I would hope that eventually you would actually have a customer service and customer social care. And with social media, it does cover different departments. It really affects marketing, it affects PR, it affects customer service. I think that the ideal goal is that companies really do understand the value of customer care, and they hopefully will start, actually hiring teams for that as well, because it's not going away. People have always commented and always complimented and always complained, and I think now with social media really getting that broadcast even more so, that it's even more critical for brands to be paying attention and to start devoting some resources to addressing those and to helping their customers.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. And we even in our service business, which is a law firm, which is much smaller than your company, but we dedicated at least one person to be aware of that, what customers are saying, and what we can do to respond to them on a very very prompt basis, because otherwise things can escalate. So I do
It's
agree with you
true.
that this is going to be the future. Customer care is going to become part of marketing
I
if it's not
agree.
already part of it now.
Yes, and it is for
Yeah,
some companies.
yeah,
Some companies already have the resources and are putting that in place. And it's hard for a smaller company to dedicate the resources, but I think that eventually they'll realize that the value they get out of that one extra person more than makes up for it.
absolutely. So as we come to the end of our show, Kari, why don't we talk a little bit about beer? Because I know that it's something that I personally enjoy, and I know you do.
Oh, I
So
love beer.
why don't you tell us a little bit about what are some of the new flavors and trends that are coming up in this industry? You can tell us about what your company is doing, is working on. Maybe make some suggestions for listeners when they are looking for beer.
Absolutely. I'd love to talk about beer. So we do have a couple of really, really exciting new beers out that have just come out this year. So we have a Tangerine Soul style IPA that's really lovely and refreshing. And then we have Passion Fruit Kicker, which is a passion fruit wheat
Wow.
beer. And we just started canning the Passion Fruit Kicker. So really, really excited about the canning, because there's a lot of times when I want to go to the beach, I want to go up, I want to go hiking, and I don't want to be carrying bottles with me, but
Absolutely.
cans sure make it really nice to go out, even at the pool. You don't have to have glass by the poolside. So those are the passion fruit is I've been drinking a lot of that lately. It's really, really nice. And then we have Cellar 3, which is our barrel aged program, and we have some new beers coming out of there too, which are absolutely fantastic. Very, very nice bottles. We just released the Natura Morta Boysenberry, and
Really.
I've got a bottle of that in my fridge right now. So it's a shareable bottle. That's not a drink by yourself, but
It's a big one, right? I've
it's a
seen
big
those.
one. Yeah, it's a 750 milliliter. It's got the cork and cage. It's a beautiful etched ceramic bottle, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm excited to have a little share party soon and share that with my friends.
And I know you have also something with coffee in it, right? I've tried it
Ye-
myself.
yes, that's
How does that work? Beer
the
and
cosmic
yeah.
Ristretto.
Uh huh.
It's a Baltic porter with espresso, and
Wow.
it's absolutely fantastic. It's very caffeinated, so I would recommend it to be your Friday or Saturday night beer, or maybe your Sunday brunch beer.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
tried it before. It's pretty
yeah,
strong.
it's really caffeinated, but it's got this beautiful chocolatey coffee, smooth, scrumptious, yummy. It's really good. So yeah, the Cosmic Ristretto is also one of our new beers this year.
So, what do you think is when people, we're coming close to Fourth of July? What would be a good food to pair with beer, typically?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I'm a fan of pairing just about anything with a good beer. I mean, Fourth of
Yeah,
July tends to be a pretty meat holiday, you know,
yes,
hamburgers and hot dogs and
right,
maybe some steaks on the grill. So we have a Soul Style IPA that's a really nice beer that pairs really well. It's really crisp, and it really pairs well with a lot of different foods. So the Soul Style IPA is
nice.
fantastic. And we have a new C2C lager that's a session beer, which means it's under 5%. And
Oh,
that's just a great. It's got a lot of flavor for a session beer, and that's also is in my fridge right now, and that's in cans, and that's also a great goes with hot dogs. It goes with burgers. And you can drink a few of them because they're
they like
very
it.
low alcohol. So
Nice.
that's a
I'm
brand
taking
new one.
notes here. I'm taking notes, and of course, we have all these notes in our show notes. So if anybody was not able to write it down, it's going to be right there in the show notes.
Yep, and we've got a beer finder on our website too, so you can
Oh, I'll
always
link that
always
too.
use our.
Yeah,
I'll get you the link, and
perfect.
we distribute to all 50 states. So there's Green Flash wherever you may be.
Excellent. So this is Green Flash. What is the website? So
It's
we put
greenflashbrew.com.
greenflashbrew.com. Perfect. So again, we have links to everything over there, and I'm already excited about it. It is Saturday here today when we're recording it, so I'm gonna be probably getting some beer in the next hour,
It's
inspired by
almost
this
12 o'clock
conversation. I
somewhere.
know exactly. Exactly. Inspired by this conversation, I'll have some beer. Well, Kari, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm really, you shared a lot of good tips and inspired us to continue provide good customer service and monitor the reviews online.
Yep, it's been great to talk to you too. And like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk to somebody who shares my
Mhm.
same values about taking care of our customers. I think it's absolutely the most important thing you can do.
Perfect. Have a beautiful weekend to yourself and
Thank you.
to our listeners. Thanks for tuning in every week, sending your comments, your emails to us. We continue to improve our show based on your recommendations. We wish you a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you at our next episode.